Good evening, good morning. Now, after getting back to my folks' place, I was up for pretty much that night and then passed out and slept throughout today. Pretty much, missed out Monday. No, while I was down dealing with the house, my brother had showed up, and my oldest brother, and had helped my dad replace a couple of the light or the wall plug fixture things, because they had went out, it stopped working, so he got those replaced and all that real quick, and they got the place cleaned up and straightened out. I mean, it's looking good there. I mean, come walk in, I was like, well, shit, Dad, you guys are busy, this is looking nice. They did a good job, and I'm happy my brother was able to come out and help him out. I was gonna go home sooner, or whatever you want to call it. I just wanted to get shit knocked out at that house, because this next time I end up going down, I'm gonna have to borrow the folks' truck to go down there, because while there, it was dropping down into the 30s at night up there on the mountain there at the house, and so only a matter of time that it starts snowing there in the pass before it reaches to the house. But I was sitting and looking at different places, and I found this town I couldn't help but laugh about, because it's like, could you imagine just telling people you live there? I mean, you'd have to have a good character about it. It's like, I live in Bald Knob. I mean, there's so many. I'm looking at these different towns, I'm like, okay, I mean, that is original, I guess. And I mean, crap, I see some of the different names of some of the different states that I'm looking at, and I can't help but laugh a little bit about it, because it's like, okay, I think of the different places here in Oregon, and I mean, I can understand some city, town names are hard for people to pronounce, because there's a lot of a Native American names or whatever. As is, it seems like a lot of people struggle to say Oregon. I think it's Oregon. No, we didn't go anywhere. We're still here. But I found a couple more places. I decided to, because I'm trying to restrict myself in a certain price range a little bit, because I don't really want to, I guess you could say I'm trying to play it safe, but went ahead and just expanded my search with, looking at places that are about another, just a little bit more, and was able to find a couple more options. There's one that I still like a lot, that's still available, and it's actually in one of the towns that I'd really like to actually probably move to. But I'm still, like I said, until I know my home is sold, like it's that all this shit's finished, because it keep getting buyers, and we start going to closing processes and all this crap, and then it's like they back out because they're afraid of the easement stuff, which there's nothing to worry about. That shit was grandfathered in and everything, and so it's like finding other solutions to deal with it, and I was able to get some other solutions dealt with it, and so I mean, if nobody wants to buy the 2 extra lots, I'll just buy the 2 extra lots and flip them. And I know a few folks, like I've said before, that would buy them, and they went and give the people a hard time about the easement stuff. But I'm going to pause this here in a moment because I decided, because I woke up about maybe 2 hours ago, and I decided to go get some Subway Eat Fresh, and yeah, because I didn't eat today. So I'm gonna pause this, and when I get back and get and all that from inside, I'll have a Subway sandwich in my hand probably, or at least sit next to me. I'll be right back. Here we go. Thank God for coupons. No, I've been looking at a few places out that way. I mean, there's a couple. There's one area that I just can't help it, but I keep leaning towards, like, one of the states. But at the same time, I've been finding some pretty nice places even in these other states and various towns. But no, I'll get it figured out. I know I was supposed to get with one of the places today, but I was just out cold. They had called me back today, but yeah, my dumb ass was just completely out cold, and so I'll just give them a message tomorrow or in the morning or whatever, and Lord knows I'm gonna be up for a while. Decided to go the back way home. I don't even know what to call it, really. My folks' place? It's nice to see what they're doing. They're getting it all set and ready for my mom to come home here this week. My dad's going to sign her out and bring her home. And his last day of work is Thursday, so Friday he'll be, my mom will be coming home. And I'll already be having to head down to the house and all that stuff with the truck, because I've got to get the generator loaded and the rototiller loaded and all that other fun, great, awesome stuff. So tomorrow, while I wait for the one place to call me back in the morning, which they'll probably call me back pretty early. And so, I mean, it's definitely been a ride, that's for sure. So, and I still gotta figure out what's up with Social Security type stuff, because I've got an appointment with them, and to figure out what's happening and stuff with that, because it's more good times there, but that's okay, because once my home's sold, even if I as I've said before, even if I have to go work part-time for a while or not, that's fine. I'm okay with that. I'll even because I gotta slowly work myself back into that situation again. I don't want to end up overdoing myself right away like I did before. Like, I tried going back to work, and between all the shit that I was going through at home, just non-stop shit, all the stuff I was having to deal with on the house, I won't have as much bullshit to deal with, basically. I'll be able to, I hurt anyways every day, even when I'm working at home. I've been taking it easy just for the most part, of just trying to, other than going down and dealing with the house and all that, I've been just trying to deal with a lot of my mental health type shit. I can't just go out and go see a counselor or therapist every week. I have to do a lot of self-healing type shit. And no, I don't go out and go drinking all the time and all that stuff. And after so many years of using cannabis for medical use on my NF and everything like that, let alone my high school years, you know, doing that too, because I'm not a liar about that. It just ironically ended up getting prescribed the very thing that I was fucking around, you know, that I enjoyed doing in high school. I just kind of grew out of that, and there's some of that stuff I just really don't care for how it makes me feel. So, but a lot of it is just there's a lot of self-reflection going on, a lot of, you know, a lot of looking back on things and just looking at situations, not just on how I could improve myself and how I respond to things, but it's also just simply just, you know, instead of, you know, having to learn to know when to just walk away is basically one of my other issues. Is there's a problem, I want to solve it right then at whatever cost, and it usually ends up creating more problems. And so over time, I've had to learn to just kind of start letting shit go. And it depends on what it is. 90% of the time, I just leave it in God's hands. And so even when I started picking up on the shit that they were doing while we were still together there at the house and everything, I shut down. I started, you know, closing off and everything, because I knew something was going on. And I had known for a while. It's just, I guess what it's called is I had the rose-colored glasses on. I was wearing those lenses, just trying to be ignorant to what I knew was happening. I mean, I was dealing with so much shit, and it's like, it didn't matter what I did, I was always going to be the one that was to blame. I was always in the wrong. I was never allowed to speak my voice. I had to allow somebody to use me like that. They lived free off of me while they got to go enjoy other people. And it doesn't mean they didn't help with some things. They did. It's just, you know, it was difficult. So it's like I'm having to look back on a lot of shit, and it's like, it's been teaching me a lot. Not just about myself, but also about the various people around me and those that were involved with this bullshit. How easy it was for someone to just lie to some and manipulate them and all that stuff. And it just, no, I don't want to. I'm starting to put myself back in that mind frame, and I've been trying to break from that. As you know, I'm trying to practice more mindfulness on how I've been thinking and all that stuff. And I've been doing that for a long time. I'm in that limbo where it's really easy to fall back into things, and it's something that I've got to battle to avoid, because I'm not about repeating these cycles and all that. I'm not about to screw up an opportunity that I have to be able to change my life for the better, and to be able to do more for my relationships, whatever that may be, friendships, all that. Because it's like, I don't like the position that I'm in, and people seem to think I enjoy this, you know, just barely scraping by and just not being able to, you know, do more. I don't like being limited. Not to this degree. I don't mind if I limit myself, but when it's at this level where it's like, you know, this is really my chance to be able to kind of change things, where I'm not stuck in this situation the rest of my life, and I'm gonna do it. I'm not gonna let anything, in essence, hold me back from it at this point. You know, I need to better myself in every aspect, not just one or two things. I know there's a lot of people out there who are in similar situations as myself, and who are viewed the same way as myself by their peers and all that stuff. They just treat it like shit, and it's like, yeah, People are judging based on material things instead of who you are as a person. It's like they care more about what's in your bank account than what's in your heart. And so it just gets to a point where it's not about doing it for them, it's about doing it for yourself and saying fuck them. You know, if you couldn't accept me at my lowest, then why should I be a part of you when I'm working on being my best? Whatever that is. It's like, you know, these folks weren't there to help you, you know, and people seem to think help it has to do with money. It's, you know, emotional support and everything is help. Having people there that are, you know, are just as equally there for you as you are for them, and wanting to see you succeed at your dreams as you want to see them succeed at theirs. If that makes sense, I hope that does. And it's like when you don't have that, and everybody just ghosts you and just treats you like shit, talk shit about you behind your back, all kinds of crap. It's like, no, you don't deserve to be there when they finally do this stuff on their own. It's like I've had to look at a lot of this bullshit going back a long time, even before this, and it's like, you know, I've had help along the way. I mean, I'm not going to lie and deny that. I've had help from my folks. I've had help from different ones here and there along the way. Most of it has been from my folks. I haven't had a lot of moral or emotional type support from really anybody. You know, usually I get shit on. But I had to go through a lot of shit on my own. You know, especially the last few years. And it just kind of let me know. It's like, you know, it sucks. I know my body's telling me to go fuck myself half the time too. Like everybody else seems to want to tell me. But I don't know. It's just, I know I can do this. And I'm not going to waste the last stretch of my life, you know, wallowing in bullshit, or even having to sit and wallow in someone else's bullshit. I'm just not going to do that. It's like I can't deal with this anymore. You know, I don't care what anybody thinks on this. I feel like I deserve to do better for myself, and it to where I can do better for others. And if I can't do that, and I don't allow myself to do that, then, you know, there's just no point in really just anything anymore. And so I can't help someone who can't help themselves, and I don't want help from people in the sense of I don't want people's money. You know, it'd just be nice to have friends. It'd be nice to have people that I can trust and not have to second guess things because one person or another is fucked with your head so bad that you're sitting here going, okay, who can I turn to right now? Because I'm not sure who I can turn to. I mean, it's only just like recently I learned about this shit called it's called betrayal trauma syndrome, or partner betrayal trauma syndrome. And it's like when I was reading this or listening to this, and it's like, you know, even all forms of trauma as is, it has the similar effects. And it's like, you know, I've been dealing with this my entire fucking life. It's not just like the people I've been with, because I've never been with somebody who's ever stayed faithful. You know, the traumas from the family's shit, all this stuff, I was like, you know, this makes a lot of sense. You know, on top of with my ASD, my NF, and just all this other shit going on, I was like, this makes a lot of sense. You know, it's weird, but it does. So, I mean, it's not like I'm sitting here trying to self-diagnose. I'm just looking at, like, what people, how it affects the brain and the body and how people handle it from that. And so it's kind of like trying to self-teach ways of being able to deal with those types of effects from and on, especially if, you know, dealing with similar effects as to people with that, whether I have it or not. I'm not sure. You know I've definitely found myself putting on a rather thick sugary candy coating, you know, to, you know, Nice little shell, you know, kind of like an M&M. Just trying to, yeah. I've been putting up walls with a lot of people, and I've started, you know, I'm definitely keeping my boundaries at this point with what I've got left and rebuilding my boundaries. Because I'm not allowing people to walk on it anymore, and I'm not going to be the target for people's bullshit anymore. If I'm not here and around, then nobody can blame me for why they're so fucking miserable with themselves or why any of that. I'm done with that. So, you know, there's friends I'm going to miss when I move. I mean, I know I'm going to miss my brother Nate, you know. This whole situation, you know, that I've been dealing with did affect our friendship, and it's not even his fault. You know, hasn't done anything to deserve, you know, he hasn't done anything for our friendship to be hurt like that. And this whole thing has. And I recognize that. It's like, because I now have been struggling with some serious trust issues with people, I've started creating boundaries, and it's like, I'm learning to be selective of who I have around me. And with my brother Nate, he's one of those people I want to keep around. I even tossed it through at him. I was like, dude, if you ever want to move out, you know, that way or something, you know, the door's open. You know, if I stay in Oregon and start a biz here, you know, if you want to work with me on that, that'd be great. He's still my best friend, my brother. It's just I don't want this shit that's going on, that's been going on from my more recent relationship and kids and family and people giving people money, you know, to move and all this other shit. Because they obviously didn't know what the fuck was actually going on. Well, they did, but they were covering it up, and I was catching the blame because, well, I'm disabled and I'm not rich, so it's easy to blame the person who, in reality, had been doing damn near everything at that house and paying for a majority of it, and they had no clue what was going on. They just kept buying into this fucking bullshit, and so it's like, whatever, I get it. So I'm just removing myself from that equation, and I'm doing so in a permanent way without, you know, way most people would think removing yourself permanently from a situation would be. It has nothing to do with that subject matter. It's just, I'm not going to take part in this anymore. I'm completely severing it. You know, I love my parents, and I'm going to keep contact with them. It's just, I'm making sure that because of everything that's gone on, they don't need to be put in the middle of this shit anymore either. That it's just best that nobody has a clue where I moved to. So if I end up sending them something, they're most likely going to get a package that doesn't have an address, just a name on it, as in a return address. That's the way it's just going to be. I mean, yeah. And as nervous and anxious as I am about this kind of move, there's a little bit of that excitement about it and curiosity about it. Like, you know, there's a lot of fear in it, because it's like I'm gonna end up going somewhere and not knowing absolutely anybody. I might know a couple people out in those areas, but I'm not gonna be living necessarily close enough to go visit on a daily basis like, you know, anybody else does. It's not like that. It's just, I'm completely 100% starting over. I'm done with all the shit. I'm done with all the family bullshit. You know, and it's not necessarily just my family, because my family stuff, when it comes to my mom's side of the family, you know, a lot of that stuff pretty well died off about 10 years ago. My mom still was dealing with her shit here and there with them up until she had her strokes, but no, it just kind of transferred from one family to the next, and it's like, you know, I'm just not doing this anymore. I'm not going to keep dealing with this shit. Yeah, it's just not worth it to keep this shit going. Oh, I'm just sitting here in the dark. Might as well have a smoke real quick before I go and finish my sandwich. So I'm not driving anymore. I just obviously parked it. But I'm just not doing it anymore. You know, I'm tired of getting hurt, and I'm tired of being the blame for everything that goes wrong. You know, it's just the whole list of things. It's like, I'm not going to be people, scapegoat and patsy and fall guy and blame. It's like, if that's what you want to do, I'm just going to be out of the picture. I'll be gone because it's clear what you want. And once I'm out and I'm no longer there, and over the next, few years, it's all on you at that point. I don't believe in taking the shit that you've gone through as a child or at any point in your life, even in the present, if you've been abused by someone, and turning around and using that as justification to abuse someone else. I just don't believe in that. It's fucked up. It's never made sense to me. I understand when people, they're going through shit and it's bad enough that to the point where they start doing things that they normally wouldn't, or they start making bad judgments because they're in a kind of a panic mode. And that happens, and I get that shit because I've done that. I've definitely done that. And those are things that I've been recognizing and have been realizing I've got to, make sure I be more mindful of that type of mind frame too. When there's something excessive going on that's creating that to happen, whether it's just regardless of the situation or who's involved or who's not. I'm just not going to sit around, and I'm not putting any of my dreams off anymore. I mean, I firmly believe that it's possible for two people who have two separate dreams in their lives that they want to do, and still be able to cooperate, work as a team, and make sure that they both reach those dreams. Not one has to just sacrifice it all together so the other one can be happy. That's just not how it works, and that's not a relationship. And so I'm still weighing a lot of options on things. I'm still doing a lot of this planning and kind of rebuilding my goals again. I'm refining that dream of mine that I've had for a long time, and a lot of it has to do with not just starting my own business. I mean, since I was a kid with my brother Jessnot, we always joked and laughed about, when we got older, we were just going to start our own little restaurant. And it's like, I enjoy cooking, and it's like, I know what I'm at this point, I know what I'm going to be doing for my menu and stuff for that aspect. And I just kind of want to use that to help springboard into a secondary business that they could feed off each other and so forth, and I've got basically a whole thing in my brain right now, and on the side of it, because I still have that kid-like curiosity about life and all that. I sometimes do the whole backyard scientist bullshit. I was never able to afford to really take the things that are in my brain and are on paper of some form and like making it a real thing. I haven't been able to do that type of stuff, and I've been able to do that a couple times, like with my it was just a slap together, my little briefcase, computer thing. I was having fun with that. But it's not like I really did any major building of anything. I just took existing things and was able to put it together into something else type thing. And there's my Steam case. But I mean, I still remember at one time I've taken a cardboard box and turned it into a CD player with, little CD player radio type thing. That thing lasted a while and it sounded fucking awesome. Love that thing. There's just, you get bored. I get bored, and I kind of miss that part of myself. I lost that dealing with all the depression and all the hate and all the anger that I was dealing with the last few years. Like, I lost a lot of my drive to keep pushing, because it got to a point, it was like, it didn't matter what I did. I could never be good enough. I didn't have a, bank account with $1 million in it, basically, and I didn't have a great big giant house, and I didn't just turn a cheek to my other half doing the things that she was doing to me and behind my back. And so it's like, I don't want to deal with that shit anymore. And, it'd be nice to just deal with some, people that would be, yeah. It'd just be nice to not have to deal with what I've had to deal with up until this point in my life. All the negative shit. I mean, we're always going to deal with something bad. Yet it's like, it's clear that I have to change how I make my decisions on what kind of people I surround myself with too. So it's like there's fault in that in me. Also, it's not just those people. That's who they are basically. And so if I want to start, in essence, I basically got to change how. I've already said it. And I'm trying to reiterate it, and I don't know how to. But anyways, I'm gonna go eat my Subway sandwich. I got the number 18, the ultimate BMT. I normally get just the regular BMT, but this time I was like, I got a coupon. I can get the bigger one now. So, thanks for watching. Hope you guys have a good day. And, well, stay safe out there. People are getting crazy. Bye.